It's official. E-bikes are the fastest growing method of transport in the world, and they have overtaken our cities and providing us with an absolutely fantastic way to explore and get around.
Despite first appearing back on the scenes in the 1990s, it wasn't until a few decades later when e-bikes really came into the mainstream. Now, particularly during the pandemic, there was a moment where the cities basically had to rethink how its public moved around the space autonomously and as an individual rather than cramming on a bus or a train. And again, that's where e-bikes really came into their own. And we see here there's a lot of share scheme bikes around us. These really just came in overnight, and all of a sudden they are pretty much dominating our streets today.
So today what we'd like to do is just show you, like, yeah, this is a great gateway drug into e-bikes, but you can actually own a really cool e-bike for arguably less of the cost. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Is people go, oh, well, it'll get stolen, it will be this, it will be that, it will be that. No. There are some seriously good options out there.
Let's go find out.
Talk to me.
All right, so being able just to open your app, find a bike that is in a few meters distance from you, then pay with a cost per minute, and then leave that bike right outside your front door. It's undeniably appealing, isn't it?
I do get that. It's very, very convenient for people just to have that mode of transport available without any commitment. So I get that.
But another great thing about shared micromobility as well is the fact that actually it's been, like you said earlier, a really great gateway drug into getting people onto bikes.
It's a great point, and it's a great analogy. And we always, when people are like, oh, what do you think of the new electric bike hiring scheme that's on the market? I'll be like, it's actually brilliant, because it gets people to understand how an e-bike can benefit your life and how perfectly suited, you know, these new forms of micro-mobility are for urban environments. We used to see it as like a bit of a Class C drug, you know, and like a gateway drug. But now we see it as more of a Class B, Class A even, very addictive drug that I would like to provide a solution how I can help wean people off and understand the benefits of owning your own e-bike, because a lot of people get put off by them.
Ben, you're completely right. I think there is a very real risk that the shared schemes could turn into something that South Park predicted a few years ago.
Yeah.
What the is going on?
I am concerned as well, especially like the state of the street sometimes, like where Lime bikes are just stacked up on top of each other. And it's some of my brother's friends who are kind of sitting on the fence thinking about buying an e-bike, and they're like, oh no, it's too expensive, and what happens if it gets stolen? And you know, like all of these kind of barriers that I believe are not barriers, they're pillars. And we have really, really good solutions for them, like anti-angle grinder locks, like lacquer insurance, like cycle to work scheme, like 0% finance. And it's really important that people understand that when you buy this bike, for example, this is the new Reece and Miller Culture, it's nearly £4,000. And people are like, £4,000? I'm not spending that. Well, it's not, that's just the price tag. You know, get a voucher, get a finance if you can't get a voucher if you're self-employed, whatever. But this bike is still worth £2,000 after, you know, a couple of years of usage, because they hold their money. These bikes will outlive us. You know, they're built by Reece and Muller, who are the most, you know, impressive e-bike manufacturer out there. And it's like, so actually you're only really paying off like £2,000 over 2 years. You know, that's less than the price of what a Lime bike actually costs.
You've definitely jumped the gun there, Ben, because we are going to be talking more about the exact pricing of the shared scheme just in a little bit, because it might actually surprise you how much it can cost.
So, there's been around 2 million trips of Lime in London so far. Now, we've got that data up till 2023 March, but with a little bit on top, we reckon it's about 2 million.
And that's Lime alone.
Exactly. There's, what, 4 or 5 other sharing schemes?
Yeah, so we've got like Santander, we've got Voy, we've got River, we've got Forest, we've got Dots. Am I missing anyone here?
No, but it's very important to say that we think the sharing schemes are good. I'm not trying to say they're not. I'm just trying to say that when you work out the actual cost of the hiring, average across all of them was about £7 for that usage. So if you go 4.5 miles each way, that's £14 a day. Yeah, is what the average Lime user might be spending. Now that doesn't include being able to whip off, go and see a friend, go and explore, get lost in the city, which is one of my favourite things to do on an e-bike. Just explore without time pressure and being able to go into those parks without, sometimes you can't park these bikes in. There's the, what's it called, the no-go zone?
Yeah, just like the no park zone. But yeah, it's really important to just go back to pricing here. So generally, if you're going to take an average commute in London, if you're spending about £7 to £14 a day, that's going to add up to about 140 to 280 a month. Now that isn't including the kind of day passes that you can buy with Lime and Dot and et cetera, but they are for specific use cases.
And that's what we're saying is like, one of these bikes is going to cost you a hell of a lot less than that, and then you get all of the benefits from owning an e-bike. When you buy a quality e-bike, like a Riesenmüller Culture that's nearly £4,000, that bike is, one, it's still worth £2,000 after a couple of years of using it because it has a residual value, yeah? Two, the servicing on it is really easy to do, really easy to manage. A typical service is between £80 and £150, and once a year is enough, plus parts, brake pads, whatever, they don't cost a lot, yeah, £20, £30. Then you've got, what happens if it gets stolen? Now, there are 2 locks out there that are anti-grinder locks. Those locks, from Hiplock, the D1000, and from Abbas, the new Granite is Super Extreme, you can't cut through them. Yeah, I mean, if you do, you're literally in a lab swapping grinder discs for an hour.
Can you just break down how much it actually costs to own a bike like this? Because I think that's really important.
Let's start off with 0% finance over 2 years. That's a really good example, yeah? These bikes are £3,700 entry level, 4,000 with a couple of options. And ultimately that is going to cost you, with a 10% deposit of £379, 12 monthly payments of £284. So basically, that was the high usage case of a Lime user. So in 1 year, yeah, you paid for that bike and you own it, and it's still worth £2,000. So that's versus a typical Lime user.
Sure.
Yeah. In 2 years, it's only going to cost you £142 a month. When you break that down into per day, yeah, it's going to be less than the price, and then you benefit from all that freedom.
Yeah.
If you can get a cycle to work voucher, then depending on what your tax bracket would be, basically 30 or 40% less than that. The government are basically paying your depreciation, and at the end of it, you can sell the bike for what it owes you or more. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's not actually going to get stolen. You can get really good, cheap insurance anyway. Servicing is really easy to do. The bikes are seriously good quality, and you can actually really benefit from an e-bike.
And I think as well, the costs of running said e-bike is like genuinely minimal.
Yeah.
I mean, it costs about 13 pence to charge up this e-bike.
Yeah.
So what's the range on this? About 50 miles max?
Around, yeah. I mean, if you're in turbo, where you have to do very, very, very little work, it's about 25 miles. And if you're in eco, it's probably up to 60. And then you can get the range extenders on these as well, which give you an extra 250 watt hours, so an extra 30% range. There's quite a compelling case we've got here, I must say. Look cooler, see a bit more of London, actually enjoy the London. Not pick out, I don't even really want to touch it, but there's a banana skin in there, and sometimes there's dog poo in there, and these are used by like 50 different people a day. Not that hygienic, not up my street anyway.
I think we should go ask some punters if they know how much a bike costs.
Yes, indeed.
How much do you spend on a Lime bike, would you say?
£5–10 maybe, it depends. Anything from, I don't know, tenner, maybe 20 quid max.
Probably about £5 a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes probably like 15–20 quid.
Maybe about 20–30 pounds.
Wow. Yes. How do you find the ride experience itself?
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's great to be outdoors, but expensive.
So you can get one 10 out of 10 or 1 out of 10. Yeah.
It's not too bad when you get a good one. Sometimes you take one out and the tyre is flat, or the wheel is buckled or something, and the grips are horrible and sticky, and you hate to think like what people have done before touching them.
We are just traveling through, and we are 1 day in London, and it's the best thing to travel around in London by bike.
Would you buy your own e-bike?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think I would probably substitute that for a Lime bike, so yeah.
Did you guys buy an e-bike, seeing as you ride them?
Yeah, probably actually. Since riding one, yeah, definitely, yeah. I have to admit, it just goes, isn't it? You don't even have to do anything, yeah.
It's really good talking to the public because you always get a real sense of the use cases for all these different types of rides, and I think it's safe to say with the Lime bike, it's a certain use case that can benefit, isn't it? Of course, yes, we may be a little bit biased in terms of saying that having your own e-bike is great, but as we've discussed today, there's some real great points around it, and actually it's not that expensive in the end.
For sure. I think, you know, one of the reasons why I wanted to create this video is because I don't think people are aware of how much joy you can get out of actually owning one versus the so-called convenience factor, and especially when most people are, oh, it might get stolen, it's actually really expensive. It's actually not expensive, we learned today, and actually with the theft element, with the anti-angle grinder locks, that is a thing of the past. People can't steal them anymore. You know, I mean, if you lock it to something good, it's secure. They're great, Lime bikes, and they serve a purpose. There are other ways to enjoy your transportation around the city.
Exactly.
And here at Fully Charged, we're just next to our showroom in London Bridge. We'd love to welcome you in to try some of these bikes and learn a little bit more. That's basically it. That's a nice little wrap. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks, Edis, for joining us today.
Of course.
Yeah, let us know what you think, and we'd be very happy to see the comments and respond to them.